Okay, as promised, we're going to start with a blank document in Notepad of all tools. To open Notepad, it's in your accessories under Program Files. If you're in a Windows environment, it'll be under Windows, Programs, Accessories. You'll see Notepad there. You can also click Run from the Start menu. Click Start Run if you're in a Windows XP environment, and just type in the word Notepad, all one word like this, just Notepad, like that, and hit Enter, and it'll fire up Notepad that looks just like this one. So what we're going to take a look at is actually writing out some HTML from scratch and messing with it inside of a browser. So where we save this file onto our hard drive is where we'll open it from inside of a web browser. We'll get a blank instance of a browser opened up here, and we'll go right to that file from the file menu of the browser. So let's start off with understanding HTML to begin with. As we saw previously in a web page, we're looking at a web page, we know that's derived from HTML. At least if you didn't, you know that now. HTML is the foundation of the way a web page looks. So if I were to type in a tag, which opens with an angle bracket, and then HTML, just like this, oops, and a close, immediately what I want to do is give it a closing tag, which is led with a / inside the brackets, like this. And what that's basically saying is I'm creating an HTML document. I've not saved it as a .html extension yet, and we'll get into extensions a little bit later on, but we're going to save this as a .html file. So let's go ahead and do that real quick. Let's type in some code. You can pause the video and follow along with me if you like. Go ahead and pause the video and do a file save as. And I'm going to save this into my C drive. Let's just find a location I can put this. I'm going to create a C drive. I'm going to create a new folder on my C drive called test site. I'm just going to call it the test site like that. And no spaces. Try not to put spaces in your folder names from here forward. We're dealing with web development. And I'm going to name this file. I don't want to use text. I'm just going to use all files. And I'm going to name this homepage.html. And again, no spaces in our file names, no spaces. If you need a space between them and you don't like the syntax I'm using here, use an underscore or a hyphen. Get away from using spaces immediately. That's the first thing we want to do. So now inside my C drive, I have a test site folder with a homepage.html file inside of it, which means that I can open up a browser real quick here. Just pull one of the ones that I had open before, which would be this little guy right here, and see if I can't go do a file open to get to that file. So I'll do a file open, and I'm going to navigate by clicking on Browse. And, whoa, that's really big, isn't it? Well, anyways, we'll be able to see it from here. I'll just go into here, and I'm going to look for my test site folder, which is going to be way down here. Let's do this. Let's do a little minimization there. There we go. That's easier to see. I'm going to find my test site folder, which is right there. And I'm going to go in. There's my page. So if I click on that and click Open, this is going to allow me to open the file into my browser. Now notice this is going to change from an http:// to a C:, which means I'm dealing directly from my drive. I'm not calling this from a web server. And you're thinking to yourself, okay, nothing happened. Well, that's true. Nothing did happen. I'm going to right click and view source here real quick. And it shows me exactly what the page consists of. HTML tags. Why is there nothing on the page? Well, because we haven't added anything to the page yet. So let's go ahead and minimize that browser. We'll close that little window that opened up there to show me the code. And I'm going to minimize the browser and come back to my Notepad instance. One of the first things we want to do within our HTML documents is define a head element, and go ahead and close that tag real quick so we don't forget to do so. The last thing we want to do is leave tags open. And so in the head element, I'm going to be defining things about my document. In other words, the title of it, which will show up in the title bar of the browser. So what I can do is do a little title, open that up, go ahead and close it real quick so I don't forget, and come back in here and type in something like this is my first web page. Okay, let's go ahead and save that and test it out. Let's go ahead and do a save, because now I know where it's going. I can just click save, and I can now bring that browser back open that we were looking at before, because I didn't close it, and I can just do a refresh. I'm dealing with the same document, so now I've refreshed it. Well, wait a minute. We create a title. There's still nothing on the page. Well, actually, there is. If we look up here, this is my first web page, and on the tab, that's where the title of our documents go. Are titles important? Yes. If we search Google, for the most part, if it's not a paid advertisement, the links you're seeing are derived from those tags from the title. Watch this. Let's do this real quick. Let's go to google.com, And let's find something like, let's look up bicycles or bikes. And when we get a result back from Google, these are paid ads up here. So these are typed in by the developer as far as like for the ads are concerned. But if we scroll down here, we start seeing things like addresses. I don't want that. I want actual web pages like Hero Bikes or Hero Bikes. Let's click on that one and see what that does for us. Okay, it takes us to Hero Bikes. Well, look, that's the title of the page, and that title tag is being used as the text link inside Google. So one thing, real quick side step there to be aware of, GT Bicycles, that's the title of that page. If we were to look at the page code for this website, pretty certain it's going to have a GT Bicycles as its actual title, and that is if the site still exists. Let's try Trek Bicycle. There we go. So if I right click on this page, let me find a blank area where there's no picture. See, because if I right click that, it's about the picture. So if we want to look at the source code and do a quick right click, we find somewhere on the page that doesn't have something going on. I can choose View Source. And this is going to open up the View Source dialog window for me here. And looking at this person's HTML document, there's a title. And there is Trek Bicycle right there. So there it is. That's become the link text in Google, which is one of the areas that it becomes. It's the title of our document. And so we definitely want to be sure to have a title that means something about the page, and that's what that piece of HTML is doing. Not too bad. We can also have tags in here like meta tags for keywords and things like that. We'll get to those in a little bit later on. Let's take a look at the body. Now let's put something actually in the document. We have a tag called the body tag, and of course we need to go ahead and close that tag real quick here to make that happen. So we have a body tag, and inside the body tag I can put this is my text to take a look at the stuff coming up on the page. Let's do a quick save, and we'll pull open our browser again and do a refresh, and there it is. This is my text. So we're on our way to writing some HTML. Not too bad. Well, so what else is there about HTML? What all the things that are showing up in certain pages, like this one, for example? If we take a look at the source code of this again, I mean, you'll notice there's a lot of code going on in here. And we've got these things like meta tag happening here. We've got this link tag for style sheets. We have this style text here. If I've got a style sheet, what's all this stuff all about? Script tags and all that. Then once we get into the body, which is where we are now, this is where we get this stuff happening on screen. But you're probably thinking, wow, there's a lot of stuff in the head element up on this particular page. Well, that's true. All the stuff that's inside this head element for this particular website is about the document. Things that it uses, like the cascading style sheets language, the JavaScript. This is a Google account set up so that they can do their little ads on Google, things like that. So it's a page view. There's a little ID number for their Google account. They're tracking their page views through Google, which is the head element's a great place to put scripts like that. We could put it somewhere else in the document, but that's a good place for it because it doesn't have to do anything with the viewability of the page, just information about the page. So we'll get into all those. So now we're into the body, and we have things like div tags, and we'll talk about those as we move forward. Actually, we'll start to talk about these as we get into cascading style sheets language, because really the div tag is nothing more than creating a spot on the page that we can affect with another language like CSS, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. In fact, I'll drop a div tag here and there, maybe put some inline style sheet on it, which will kind of confuse you a little bit, but it'll give you an idea of what's going on with those as well. But a lot of tags going on in here. And there's things that we can do to mark up the content. And so to give you an idea of what attributes are and what things are we can do here, let's go over a couple of tags that will help dress this up a little bit. For example, let's put a heading tag, which is defined as an H1 through H6. Now, those are different sizes that we can use. So if I put a /H1 on here like that, I have wrapped this content with HTML, and I've effectively used a tag that will modify its appearance. Let's take a quick look at this now. In our browser, pull this back up, do a refresh, and as I would expect, it's very large. So that tag that I wrapped around that has modified the look and feel of the text. So moving forward here, we're going to take a look at some anchor tags and applying attributes to tags. It's a great tag to show attributes with. It's what makes text clickable for links and sends us to the locations, which means we'll have to create another document that we can link to. That way we can show it actually moving forward. So in the next section, we're going to start working with adding tags and adjusting attributes to fully understand HTML syntactically and what's going on with it.